Called a vote-a-rama. This is the bill stretching out about 24 hours so far. Republican leadership trying to get to that 51 vote margin. But according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, it's the Democrats holding things up.
We are moving toward a vote today. And look, the 20 hours doesn't worry me because it's just the Democrats trying to obstruct this one big, beautiful bill. President Trump has incredible momentum from the border to Israel, Iran. Now we're going to bring it home on the tax bill, and then we'll do trade next week. It's just the Democrats trying to stop the president's momentum.
So that's the Treasury Secretary just from last hour. This hour, Aisha Hasni is live on the Hill to bring us a status report as to where we are at the moment. Aisha, take it away. Good morning.
Bill, Dana, good morning to you. As of this hour, GOP leader John Thune does not have the sufficient number of votes that he needs to get the big, beautiful bill across the finish line in the Senate. And right now on the Senate floor, it was just in the chamber, there is quite an intense effort right now to flip Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. There was a lot of huddling and negotiating going on in the last hour. If they can get her, then they can pass this with Vice President J.D. Vance as the tie-breaking vote. Now, I'm told that he arrived around 6:30 this morning when it became clear that Republicans needed a lot of help. And a senator just told me, who was on the floor, that they are waiting right now on language for the bill. And what that might mean is this. Overnight, the parliamentarian threw out language to give Alaska a break on those Medicaid cuts, and it just did not meet the reconciliation rules to pass with a 51 vote threshold. So that is why they lost Lisa Murkowski. So I just saw her on the floor. She was reading through what looked to be like new legislative text. She handed that to a staffer who said, "I'll be right back." So presumably this could be new language for the parliamentarian to take a look at that would perhaps get Lisa Murkowski across the finish line when it comes to Medicaid. But again, nothing is for sure at this hour. Intense negotiations going on with others as well. We saw Markwayne Mullin talking with Tom Tillis, who's a no at this point. So it appears everybody is trying to flip these senators. We know that Rand Paul is also a no, so two hard no's. Susan Collins is a holdout. Never really had her. She has continuously said that she has concerns about Medicaid reforms. She's also up for re-election, so that's a totally different beast for the GOP. Now, even if the bill gets through the Senate here, there is another hurdle ahead in the House. The House Freedom Caucus does not like this bill because they say it adds $651 billion to the deficit. Also, keep in mind that they lost a provision to remove illegal immigrants from Medicaid. That failed twice last night, so that is not in this anymore. So that's going to be tough for House Republicans as well. And part of the problem here, Dana and Bill, is, and maybe this was part of the strategy, but all of this started, this vote-a-rama started yesterday. While the bill was still being worked on, while so many of these amendments were still going through the parliamentarians, so we didn't really know for sure if they had the votes. And of course, Lisa Murkowski lost that amendment overnight, and they lost that
Okay,
vote.
so
here we are.
Watching Murkowski, watching Collins, maybe Rick Scott's in the mix as well. We'll see in the end. Republicans have 53 seats, all right? So they can lose 4. If they lose 4, this bill goes down. But at the moment, they can lose 3, and J.D. Vance would break that tie. Is the vice president still there on Capitol Hill now, Aisha?
The vice president is here in the building. We have not seen him on the Senate floor. I believe that he is kind of huddling in a back room with other senators. Most of the negotiations that have been around Lisa Murkowski have been happening right on the Senate floor. The cameras can't really see it. It's off to the side, but it's been intense with people like Lindsey Graham and Senator Crapo, as well as John Barrasso, the whip there, with Leader Thune sort of hovering nearby. People are tired. Senator Tupperville told reporters earlier today, Bill, that he's brain dead. And, you know, Senator Grassley, people are watching him, concerned about him. He was sitting on the floor overnight, kind of where the Senate pages sit. So this is getting to a point where, you know, people are ready to get this done and go home.
So this is likely to get done today because they'll figure something out. I think with Murkowski, it's like, okay, you got the whalers thing in there, you got the thing for your specific things for Alaska, setting that aside. That might irritate other senators. But what do you think how high is the hurdle in the House then after all of this?
Yeah. It's pretty high. I mean, the Hill team here knows of several House Republicans who do not like this bill, but the House is a little bit different than the Senate because they are influenced heavily by President Trump, and we saw that the first time around when the House originally passed this bill. President Trump came to Capitol Hill and sort of closed the deal. So we could see that happen again, where as soon as this gets into the House, then President Trump might have to make some phone calls and just tell people, look, the negotiations are over.
Okay, Aisha, thanks. Stand by. You are chained to that position there on the Hill. So, Aisha, thanks. I got some of the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Editorial board. This is how they characterize the overall shape of this bill and what it would do. The great budget baseline con. The Senate bill, for all its faults, is the first serious attempt at entitlement reform in nearly 2 decades. The Senate bill will slow spending growth in Medicaid, food stamps, and student loans. It will also roll back subsidies that have become entitlements for the renewable energy industries. Yet Democrats oppose all of these changes that would really reduce the deficits in future years. End quote from that piece earlier today. I think there's some PTSD a little bit among Republicans. You think 6 or 7 years ago, John McClain, 2:24 in the morning, they were trying to repeal Obamacare, and he walked on the Senate floor and put the big thumbs down, and you could hear the guffaws in the chamber at that time.
I think the other thing is that the Republicans are having to deal with the fact that the economy under the Biden administration struggled, especially with inflation. But inflation got fueled after Biden's big bill and all of those energy subsidies. So this is basically, to me, it's like a course correction. And I think that they'll get it in the end, but it's not going to be pretty the way it is going. House Republican Conference Chair Lisa McClain, she is here with us now. And you were up all night, too, even though you were in the House, because how difficult is it to figure out? You have to plug this hole because this particular group might not like something, but if you do that, then this group's not going to like it, and you're trying to keep everybody on the same page.
Yeah, look, listen, it's a very delicate balancing act, and we live in a representative government, right? Each congressperson represents their district, and they are trying to advocate the best they can for their district. And the districts are very diverse. So if you're watching this movie, and we've seen this before, things get a little dicey. The family discussions get a little heated at times, but that's exactly what you're supposed to do, is represent your district. And that's what's going on right now. I am an optimist by nature. I believe we're going to get this out of the Senate. It's going to come back to the House, and we're going to pass it, because at the end of the day, I don't want to give the government a raise. I want to keep the money in the people's pockets. You
were up all night, as we mentioned a moment ago. Are you actively negotiating with members of the Senate? Like, if they go in one direction, you're going to have to go in another?
We are in lockstep, and Leader Johnson and Leader Thune, along with the rest of the leadership teams and the House and the Senate, have really been working hand in glove to talk to each other about what is palatable, what isn't palatable, what are red lines. It really has been a coordinated, interactive process, which is very different than I've seen before. And people are really trying to work together, which I think is rather refreshing for a change.
One of the things that Speaker Johnson has said is that if it changes, they don't necessarily will change it again. But I think that the other piece of this is we're not talking enough about the Democrats. That's usually a frustration, I know, when you're in the majority. You're like, it's not us, it's them. But so let's take a listen to the Democrats. This is number 4 here on Chuck Schumer and others.
It's outrageous, cutting people's health care, causing people to get sicker and to even die. People will die, just to give tax breaks to billionaires.
Enacting this title would increase the deficit by nearly $3.5 trillion over the 2025-34 period.
It is cruel and dishonest to bury parents, kids, and seniors in paperwork and then blame them when they lose their health care.
I think sometimes, Congresswoman, that people watching this sort of at the last minute are like, oh, these people, why can't they just like get it together? And the Democrats in particular, they didn't seem to worry about grocery prices and things like that 10 months ago when they were heading into re-election for President Biden and then Harris. And now they're all concerned about the deficit?
Yeah. Right. It's a little, the hypocrisy over there is deafening. Just think about this for 1 second. is they talk about the rich. Oh my gosh, this is the tax breaks for the rich, right? Well, if you are in the 12% tax bracket, you make about 48 grand, okay? I don't think 48 grand is the rich end of the tax bracket, but those people would see their taxes increase to 25%. Let's talk facts. Let's talk reality. They can't afford that, and they're giving a raise to the government. See, the difference is Republicans, I believe in people. We believe in people. I would prefer that the people keep that, not give the government a 13% or double the raise that they give the government. Come on, because government is so efficient in how we spend our money, right? And as it pertains, I just want to address this. As this pertains to Medicaid, too, are you kidding me? If you have a disabled child, or you're a single mother, or you're disabled yourself, I would think you would be screaming at the rooftops to pass this bill, because we need to pass this bill so you can continue to get your Medicaid, to make sure that you get it, not an able-bodied adult that's on Medicaid receiving their benefits in front of you. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story for the Democrats, because then they'd have nothing to talk about at all.
Okay. One last question here. This was some of the reporting from overnight about Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky. He's been a no from the outset, but we know he spent time with the president over the weekend. Can you shed light on the possibility that if you lose Collins and Murkowski, that you could pull Rand Paul back into a yes if you either shrink or eliminate the debt limit increase? Is that an active negotiation as of right now?
You know, I don't want to get ahead of the Senate. I think everything is on the table to get this bill done. President Trump has been extremely vocal about getting the bill done. 77 million Americans have been extremely vocal about getting the bill done. Everything right now is on the table to get this bill over the finish line. And that's why you see we've been working through the night, or the Senate's been working through the night to make sure that we get this bill over the finish line. And again, I'm optimistic. I think we're going to get it done.
Congresswoman McClain, thank you for joining us, and enjoy the next 48 hours. We'll stay in touch. Thank you.
It'll be exciting.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.